everyone, my name is Dean. Welcome to Books and Quirks. Today I'm going to be doing the coffee book tag, and I was tagged to do this by Jen over at Regen Read, and I will link her channel below as well as the original video, so please check them out. I will also list the questions below in case you want to do this tag as well. I have the questions on my phone, so you may see me looking down a little bit, but I just am excited to do this tag. I do love my coffee, so let's just get started. Number 1, Black. Name a series that's tough to get into but has hardcore fans. There are so many series that I could list that has a huge following, but I think I'm going to go with Throne of Glass here, the Throne of Glass series, because that first book is hard to get into, and a few people have said that, but then it just gets better and better, and with every book it gets even more exciting, and it has a huge following. I mean, Sarah J. Maas is very popular, so I'm going to go with that series. I could also say Raven Boys, but I'll stick with Throne of Glass. Number 2, Peppermint Mocha. Name a book that gets more popular during the winter or a festive time of year. And I mean, really, a book that gets more popular or a festive time of year, I always think of Christmas, of course, and there are so many classics. I mean, Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, but I don't have any of those handy, so I picked something else off my bookshelf, and I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this book, but he is a popular adult author, and he writes a lot of, not a lot, but some Christmas books as well, and that's Richard Paul Evans, and this is The Mistletoe Promise, and this is one of my favorite books, and you know, he comes out with a new book every year, or at least the last couple of Christmases, and his books are very, very popular. So that's the one that I picked off my shelf. Number 3, Hot Chocolate. What is your favorite children's book? My favorite children's book from when I was little is Three Little Kittens Lost Their Mittens. I'm not sure if any of you out there have ever heard of this book, but it still remains popular to this day. I do see it still in the children's section sometimes, and it's about 3 little kittens that lost their mittens, and when I was 3 and 4, probably, maybe even up until I was 5, like, it's the book that I always wanted read to me. Anybody that, you know, asked me if I wanted to have a book read to me, it was always 3 Little Kittens Lost Their Mittens. I still remember that book. I still love that book. And yeah, so that is a children's book, but I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it. Number 4, Double Shot of Espresso. Name a book that kept you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. So I was going to go originally with Annihilation because that is my favorite recent book that kept me on the edge, but I've talked about that in like 3 other videos, so I'm going to go with The Girl on the Train. This is a psychological thriller. I'm sure all of you have heard of this book. It's a movie now with Emily Blunt, but and I don't read a lot of psychological thrillers. In fact, this year is the first year that I started, and I read like 3 so far. So maybe it's going to be a thing with me, who knows. But this book kept me on the edge. I did not guess what was happening. And I just wanted to find out what the real story was, because the narrator in this book is very unreliable. Number 5, Starbucks. Name a book that you see everywhere. And for that, I'm going to go with an odd choice. I'm going to go with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, just because with the movie coming out, and now with the new book of the Peculiar, Tales of the Peculiar, which I haven't bought yet, but I do plan to, I feel like it's everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I see billboards for promoting the movie. Every time I go to Barnes & Nobles, they have this big display now in the front, and everything is Miss Peregrine. So I feel like that is, at least recently, what I've been seeing everywhere. And every time I turn on the TV, I see a commercial for the movie. So that is what I'm going to pick for this. Number 6, That hipster coffee shop, sorry, give a book by an indie author a shout out. And for that, I'm going to pick Regulation by P.T. Hilton. P.T. Hilton is a booktuber. I've watched him for quite some time, and I love this series. I've read books 1 and 2. It's a trilogy. I haven't yet read book 3, but this definitely was a great, fun read, and I loved the second book just as much. So it's actually not Regulation, it's Regulation 19. I left off the 19. But this is definitely a book. And I actually bought this from his website, and he actually put little notes in here, that tell you a little bit more about the book. So I thought that was really, really nice. Number 7. Oops, I accidentally got decaf. Name a book that you were expecting more from. Oh my goodness. There were a couple of choices for this question also, but I'm going to pick All of the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. This is it's marketed as an adult science fiction book, but it's a weird mix of science fiction and fantasy. And the reason I thought I would love this book based on what it says in the back. I really thought I would love this, but the plot was just all over the place. The writing was not very good. The dialogue felt off. I didn't feel any connection to the characters, and half the time through this book I wasn't even sure quite what was happening. So it was so disappointing. I held off on buying this book for such a long time. I finally did, expecting to love it, and it was just the opposite. I wound up giving it 2 stars, and I don't do that a lot. I don't read a lot of books that I rate that low. And finally, number 8, The Perfect Blend. Name a book or series that was both bitter and sweet, but ultimately satisfying. And for that, I'm going to pick It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I absolutely love Colleen Hoover, and this is her best book to date, in my opinion. It's also the most well written. It deals with a lot of hard topics, hard themes, but it was still ultimately satisfying. This was an emotional ride, and I highly recommend it. So who am I going to tag? I'm going to tag Amber from Amber Eats Books. I think that's the name of her channel. And I will link that below. I'm also going to tag Frankie from Frankie Reads. I'm not sure if you guys have done this video, but if you haven't, I tag you as well. And I'm also going to tag Becky from Becky Ford. That's the name of her channel. And I'm also going to check. I'm also going to tag Emily from Emily Boone. I'm not sure if any of you guys have done this tag, but if you haven't, then I tag you, and I will link all of their channels below, so please check them out as well. So that is all I have. That is the coffee book tag. I really enjoyed doing this. Thank you so much, Jen, once again. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.